Every day you wake up and repeat the same thoughts, make the same choices, feel the same emotions. You're not living a new day. You're reliving the past. If you knew your thoughts had the power to build your future, would you keep thinking like yesterday? It's time to take control of your mind and reshape your destiny. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to hear will rewire your thinking and may be the beginning of a future you never imagined possible. Before we begin, I have a few questions for you. How many of you believe that your way of thinking affects your life? How many believe that your thoughts create your reality? You believe that, don't you? But let me ask you something deeper. How many of you woke up today and consciously created a future for yourselves? Very few, right? That's because most people don't believe it's really possible. But if you knew your thoughts create your destiny, would you ever waste a single day again? Would you let a thought pass by that you didn't want to experience? You have between 60,000 and 70,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of them are the same as the day before. So the same thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices generate the same behaviors, and those behaviors produce the same experiences. Those experiences trigger the same emotions, and those emotions feed back into the same thoughts. That's how your biology creates your personal reality. Your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So your current personality has created the personal reality you're living today. If you want to create a new personal reality, you have to change your personality. That means changing the thoughts you think daily. You have to notice your unconscious habits and behaviors that bring about the same experiences. You need to confront the emotions you've memorized and carried for years. Emotions that have become part of your identity. Ask yourself, do I really want to carry these emotions into the future? Because most people try to create a new life while holding on to the same old personality, and that is simply impossible. We literally have to become someone else. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, and behaving the same way. There's a principle in neuroscience. Neurons that fire together, wire together. When you repeat the same thoughts, behaviors, and experiences, you're hardwiring your brain. You reinforce the same neural networks every single day, and as long as your brain fires in the same patterns, your mind won't change. You're programming your brain into a fixed signature. That signature becomes your mental box. So thinking outside the box means making your brain fire in new sequences, creating new combinations. When your brain works differently, your mind changes, because your mind is your brain in action, and what allows you to change it is information. Every time you learn something new, you forge a new synaptic connection. That's what learning is, building new neural connections. Remembering is maintaining and reinforcing those connections. In 2000, Nobel laureate Eric Kandel proved that just learning a few bits of information doubles neural connections in a part of the brain from 1300 to 2600. But if those connections aren't reinforced, they begin to disappear within hours or days. So if you want to reshape your mind and life, you must review and internalize the new knowledge. That's why repetition matters. In your weakest moment, when you're on the verge of giving up, what you know and believe must be stronger than your doubt. When you add even a little bit of learning, you're expanding the tapestry of your gray matter. And when you think differently, your brain fires differently. When your brain fires differently, your mind transforms. New thoughts lead to new choices. New choices lead to new behaviors. New behaviors create new experiences, and new experiences produce new emotions. Emotions that no longer bind you to the past, but become the energy that shapes your future. If you now understand that your environment no longer needs to control your thinking, but instead that your conscious thought can begin to command your environment, then you're starting to break free from autopilot and initiating a real movement of transformation. The fundamental question is not whether your reality creates your personality, but rather how much your personality, shaped by beliefs, habits, and unconscious patterns, is creating every single day the exact same reality. Your brain, up until this point, is merely a reflection of the past. It's wired to react to the world based on what has already happened, trapped in neural networks reinforced by years of emotional and behavioral repetition. Right now, it is simply a biological manifestation of everything you've already lived. And that's precisely why, when you wake up each day and repeat every action automatically, getting out of bed on the same side, drinking coffee from your favorite mug, driving the same route to work, and interacting with the same people who trigger the same emotional responses, your brain doesn't change. And if your brain doesn't change, your life doesn't change either. You continue to recreate yesterday today, reinforcing everything you already know, already lived, already suffered, or already tolerated. So how can you expect something new to emerge if you're just reaffirming the same synapses, the same emotions, the same judgments, and the same mental state? Modern neuroscience is clear. To create a new reality, you must first create a new brain. And that requires leaving the comfort zone. Most people want change, but they don't want to let go of what keeps them stuck. They continue chasing new results with the same thoughts, the same internal chemistry, the same emotional signature. And that is literally impossible. Change, therefore, is a biological process. It's interrupting automatic patterns. It's suppressing the repetition of unconscious thoughts that fire as a reflex to a predictable environment. It's stepping out of the known and diving into the unknown. All the great figures in history understood this principle. Gandhi, Mandela, Joan of Arc, Martin Luther King. They didn't see the future with their eyes. They lived it intensely within themselves, with such conviction that their brains began to change as if the future had already happened. They fell in love with a reality that didn't yet exist, but was more real to them than any external limitation. The mind is the brain in action. And when the mind operates in a new way, the brain literally begins to rewire itself into patterns that didn't exist before. That is neuroplasticity in its purest form. When you learn something new and sustain that knowledge through repetition, you begin to change your mind. That is the key. You don't need to wait for something to change in order to feel different. You need to change internally in order to cause something external. Quantum physics proves it. Everything is connected. The observer influences what is being observed. So, if you feel the emotion of an experience before it actually happens, if you're able, with real emotional depth, to be grateful for abundance before it appears, to feel love before it manifests, to experience healing before it occurs, your body begins to react as if it were already true. And when the body believes, matter changes. Genuine emotion, paired with a new thought, reconfigures your genes, activates new proteins, alters your biology. And in that moment, you stop waiting for the world to change, and you start changing the world. There's no longer dependence on the external. You become the cause. You become the creator. That's the true leap in consciousness. The hardest part of this journey is not starting. It's persevering through the discomfort of the unknown. Most people retreat halfway through the process because their body craves the old chemistry, the familiar anxiety, the habitual fear, the guilt that has already become identity. And this conditioned body begins to command your thoughts with phrases like, "This isn't for you. You'll never make it. Just give up." But these thoughts are merely the desperate screams of a system that is dying. Dying to the old self is the only way to be born into the new. And that demands crossing the river of change, a place between who you were and who you are becoming. A space of uncertainty, where the only certainty is what you decide to create from this moment forward. And in that space, you begin to visualize, to mentally rehearse who you will become, to imagine with emotional depth to think about future behaviors, better choices, and higher versions of yourself. You begin to build the bridge with the bricks of conscious intention. And the more you focus on this, the more energy you pull from the past and invest into the future. The new becomes more real than the old, and then the magic happens. The brain shifts, the body transforms, the mind expands, reality responds. Now, yes, you are living as a conscious creator, no longer a victim of your environment. And the most beautiful part of it all, you don't have to wait. You can start now. Now you understand why change feels so hard. It's not just about action, it's about identity. Your brain is a record of your past, but your mind can be the architect of your future. If you want to change your reality, you must change what you think, how you act, and what you feel every single day. It's not about waiting for motivation. It's about choosing to be conscious in a world that runs on autopilot. You are not your past. You are the possibility of who you decide to become. The future is already inside your mind, waiting for you to believe in it enough to bring it to life.